All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about the technology that's fixing one of AI's biggest, most annoying flaws. We're going to make it smarter, way more reliable, and something you can actually trust. It's called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or as everyone calls it, RAG. And trust me, it's a total game changer.
You've been there, right? We all have. You ask a chatbot something specific, and it just confidently makes something up. This is a huge problem, and it's what's holding AI back from being used in places where the stakes are really, really high. So why does that even happen? Well, large language models, or LLMs, they've got some pretty big flaws. First, they hallucinate. That's the fancy word for just inventing stuff. Their knowledge is also frozen in time. The second their training ends, they're already out of date. They obviously have no idea about your company's private data, and trying to retrain them all the time, it's just insanely expensive. All this makes them pretty untrustworthy for anything critical.
But what if, instead of trying to cram the entire universe of knowledge into the model's head, we just gave it a library card? That right there is the beautifully simple idea behind RAG.
The idea here is so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. RAG works by going out and finding relevant, up-to-the-minute information from a source you trust, say your company's internal wiki, and then it gives that info to the LLM to help it answer your question. This grounds the AI in cold, hard facts, which boosts accuracy like you wouldn't believe, and, most importantly, builds trust.
So, the most basic version of this, what the experts call naive RAG, is a pretty straightforward three-step dance. First, you take your data, you chop it into smaller chunks, and you turn those chunks into numbers, or what we call vectors. Then, when you ask a question, the system finds the chunks that are most similar to your question. Finally, it bundles those chunks up with your original question and hands it all to the LLM for a fact-based answer. See? Simple, and it works.
But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. This simple approach is, as one of our sources put it, a powerful but blunt instrument. Why? Because when you break all your data into these tiny separate chunks, you lose all the critical context, all the relationships between the pieces of information. And that exact problem, that loss of context, is what forced RAG to evolve. It had to get a whole lot smarter. It had to go from being just a simple search tool to a genuinely intelligent system. You can really see this evolution happening in three main stages. We started with naive RAG, which was the foundation. Then we moved into advanced RAG, where people added all sorts of clever tricks to get better results. And now we're in the era of modular RAG, where we're building these flexible, smart systems out of different specialized components. And one of the coolest examples of this is something called Agentic RAG. Okay, think of it like this. You're hiring a super smart research assistant. This agent doesn't just find information. It can actually reason. It can plan out tasks, and it can use different tools, like a calculator or a database tool, to figure out really complex multi-step problems. Here's a perfect real-world example. Someone in marketing can just ask, in plain English, hey, what were our top 5 products sold last month? The agent gets it. It translates that question into the perfect SQL code, uses a tool to run that code against the database, and then serves up the answer in a way that anyone can understand. This just blows the doors open for data access for everyone in a company.
Now, the next giant leap is Graph RAG. If Agentic RAG is your research assistant, think of Graph RAG as a detective. It's standing in front of a giant corkboard, connecting clues with string. It uses these things called knowledge graphs to map out and truly understand the deep, complex relationships between all your data points. This lets it uncover hidden patterns and solve mysteries that a human might never see.
So this journey from a simple search to these intelligent agents and graphs, it's a fundamental shift. It's completely changing the kinds of questions we can even think to ask our AI systems. And it's raising the bar for the intelligence we expect in our answers. Okay, let's break this down because it's the most important part. Your basic vector-based RAG, it is fantastic at answering what questions. What is our company policy on remote work? It just finds the chunk of text that sounds the most like your question. Agentic RAG takes it a huge step further. It's built to answer how. Questions like, how do I troubleshoot this network error? The agent can actually create a plan. It can look up error logs, check technical manuals, and run diagnostic tools to give you a step-by-step solution. And finally, we have Graph RAG. This is designed to tackle the toughest question of all. Why? Why are sales suddenly dropping in the Northeast region? It can actually reason across the relationships between customers, products, and supply chain data to figure out the root cause. It's incredibly powerful.
So what this all means is that you shouldn't be looking for the single best type of RAG. That's the wrong way to think about it. The real goal is to make a strategic choice, to pick the right tool for the specific job you need to get done. And this table lays out those choices perfectly. Vector RAG is easy to implement, but its reasoning is pretty basic. Agentic and Graph RAG, on the other hand, give you these incredible reasoning powers, but that comes at a price. They are way more complex to build. It's that classic trade-off, power versus simplicity. So where is all of this going? Well, the future isn't about picking just one. The most powerful AI systems are going to be hybrids. They'll have intelligent agents that act like conductors, orchestrating complex tasks that use both the lightning speed of vector search and the deep relational reasoning of graphs. You get the best of all worlds. And why should you care? Well, for your business, this means you can build a really cost-effective HR chatbot with just basic Vector RAG. You could create an intelligent agent to completely automate complex IT help desk tickets. Or you could literally power transformative scientific research with Graph RAG, finding connections in data that no human ever could. So to wrap this all up, it's pretty clear that thanks to this incredible evolution of RAG, we've moved way past just being happy we can get an answer from AI. The real question we have to ask ourselves now is, how intelligent do we need those answers to be? And how we answer that is going to define the entire next generation of AI.